It's great to be up here again. I actually had the honor about 10 days ago of presenting on this very stage with an event that Team Austin did here in town. And I think it's just so wonderful that Google has this space for the community to use and give an opportunity for entrepreneurs and nonprofits and organizations to get together. So I want to absolutely thank Google for having us today. I started to think about this talk and what would be most relevant to the audience. So I was just curious if I could get a show of hands here. How many people in the audience are currently entrepreneurs running a small business or a startup company? Great. And how many of you are aspiring to do that at some point in the future? Wonderful. So a lot of what, the title and the description of this talk was about how to have purpose and how to integrate that into your business model and how to make money at the same time. And what I'll do is I'll share a little bit about my story and how I kind of came up with the idea for Charity Charge and kind of the fuel behind that, but also share some other social entrepreneurship ventures that are out there that I think are doing some really cool things. And those entrepreneurs I've gotten to know personally, so I can give you a little bit behind the scenes of kind of what went into their thinking. But I will say that, we use this word passion a lot. And I think that too often it is a little bit of a misnomer. There are a lot of things that I'm passionate about, and many of them I will not create a business around. And as we kind of get in this talk and just kind of put you in the right frame of mind, I think it's important to be cognizant of where your skills lie and following your effort much more so than just your passion. So with no further ado, I'm going to talk to you today a little bit, as I mentioned, about Charity Charge. I'm going to talk to you about a company called Clean Cause that was founded by a good friend of mine, Wes Hurt, right here in Austin, Texas. Another company is Bombas that was founded by social entrepreneur Dave Heath. He actually was on Shark Tank and raised money from Damon John, so a pretty cool story. And then we'll also talk about another Austin startup called Student Loan Genius. Charity Charge, as Nicholas said, we're launching a credit card through a partnership with Mastercard that lets cardholders earn cash back to any nonprofit of their choice. So you can think of it like how you could just earn airline miles or bonus points at a hotel, but instead it's an easy way to give back that's automatic. And in our system, we have every nonprofit and K-12 school and college. So simple, easy way to give back. Just to tell you kind of a little bit about my story and how I went about doing this is I originally had been accumulating a host of credit card reward points and went on to redeem them and got frustrated when I recognized that I didn't want anything in the catalog. I didn't care about a chain restaurant gift card. I didn't care about redeeming it for a Samsonite suitcase. And I logged off, and a nonprofit that I had previously supported that year, a local one here in Austin, Hill Country Conservancy, sent me an email asking to help support them. And so that's when it clicked for me. And I think that we talk a lot about, do we find ideas and things that we're passionate about, or do they find us? And for me in this instance, I was very much focused about how to be an entrepreneur. I had been working at the Austin Technology Incubator. I had been inspired and around all these entrepreneurs. I was looking for that idea. And I think as you get into that mode, as you're thinking about new ideas or something that you might want to pursue, my encouragement would be to start thinking through different business models, get out, talk to different people, and that will just start getting your mind thinking in the right direction. I think that, good ideas, much like luck, and I'm certainly not the first to say it, but are a combination of, the intersection of hard work and opportunity. And so in this case, I just took a look at the market. I recognized that there were these bank-branded cards, there were these co-branded credit cards, with Disney or Southwest or Nordstrom's or Mercedes, et cetera. And then I also noticed that there was a small part of the market that was focused on this one-off model of mega-sized nonprofits. And what I realized is that there wasn't a scalable way for someone to be able to support schools, local nonprofits, organizations like that. And that started to fuel, my passion, and it really started to intrigue me to pursue this business model. And in order to do it, I had to go out, and so it's been a lot of ups and downs, and you can watch it online, but I have a whole talk I was mentioning from about 10 days ago about this story, but I had to go out, form partnerships with Mastercard, partnership with Commerce Bank, who's the number 18 issuer of consumer credit cards in the United States. And on the nonprofit side, we're working with an organization called Network for Good. They're the leader in online donation processing. They processed about $1.5 billion to date. And then we're also working with GuideStar, which gives us that database so that from day one, cardholders can choose to support any organization of their choice. So this idea, to go along with the theme of this whole talk about passion, was something that I found I had to go out and do. There's another company, as I mentioned, Clean Cause. I think this story, very much so about passion, found Wes Hurt, the founder of this. And he had struggled with alcohol addiction, and he was previously the owner of a company in town called Hey Cupcake, which is delicious. I don't know if anyone has tried it. But he's had a lot of success founding that company, creating that brand, really great at marketing, sold that business, and in the intermediary period, started struggling with alcohol and had faced, some addiction problems his whole life. And went through, a really long journey of getting sober and rehabilitation, and decided to create a company that would donate 50% of its profits to support drug and alcohol addiction programs. And what I think is really interesting about this company is that he went into a market, and candidly, I remember him telling me about the idea before. It was just an idea, and I thought he was crazy to get in the consumer packaged goods business, in the water business, complete commodity. But his story was so authentic that they have been rocking and rolling with distribution. It's been amazing. If you live in Austin, I'm sure you've seen it all around town. The branding and marketing, the things that they're doing just from in-store signage and what they're doing on social media is very different than any of these other traditional water companies. So as you think about things that you might be passionate about and you think about how that story relates to you, the easiest thing to sell in the world is the truth. And with this company, it's such a part of the founder's story that for him to get press coverage and for him to go in, and when he was initially pitching large grocery stores and things like that, it was easy for them to resonate. I think that we can get into a little bit in the Q&A, but a lot of people ask me about, hey, I have this company and we're selling this product, but we want to give something to charity, or we want to kind of infuse some sort of cause marketing into it, and we think we'd make a lot more money if we do that. And I really just kind of have to shake my head at that, because I think that if you're going to do something around your business model that's going to give back, it's so important that it's authentic. It's got to be authentic so it's the right thing and you feel good about it. But very, very much so in the world that we live in, this digital age, consumers are so smart. And if you're not authentic and true to your purpose, kind of day in and day out about your brand as you build your company, your customers will see right through that and you won't have customers for very long. And not only did they start with a focus on clean water, but what I think is really interesting, they've now been able to expand into other categories. And as we're just talking about entrepreneurship in general, I always got to reiterate that I think it's so important to have focus initially out of the gate around the product, around the brand, around the strategy. And once you do that and you start to get some market share, of course you can expand into other things. But I remember when I was originally starting Charity Charge, I had a million ideas and things I needed to do. And I can say that one of the main reasons that at whatever level of success we've achieved to date, it's truly been because we narrowed the focus. As my good friend Laura Reese, who helped coin Charity Charge, is one of the world's top branding experts, always talks about narrowing the focus in your brand, in your business, in your life, all of those things. Another great company that I think has a really cool story, and I think very much so when you think about passion, is similar to mine in the sense that they went out, kind of looked at the market, saw an interesting opportunity, and that was actually in the sock market. If you think about yourself, of products that you have to buy on a continual basis and products that wear out, socks ranks right up there in terms of consumer retail apparel goods. And so what Dave Heath was able to do, this is a New York-based company, as I mentioned, they were on Shark Tank and successfully raised money from Daymond John. They created this model similar to Tom's, where for every sock purchase, they donate one to someone in need, and they usually distribute those at homeless shelters. But what's really critical, and I've really learned from Dave as a mentor to me, is that he was always focused on creating a great product. And if you listen to any of his talks or ever get a chance to meet him, he truly talks about how it's great to be passionate, it's great to build, this kind of Tom's type of buy one, give one mission. But from day one, he's been focused on creating a great product. And this graphic kind of points to things. I have a few pairs. I'm not paid by him in any way, but they're awesome. So I highly recommend you check them out because first and foremost, they have a great product. And because of that, they're able to fulfill their social mission. But if they didn't have a good product and they didn't focus first on the product, it would never let them accomplish this social mission that they cared a lot about. And on that point, I think what's so cool about this company is that it's so important to create a great product for your customers, the people that are giving you that money, but also if you're thinking about a giving program or some way to infuse cause marketing or a mission into your business, you want to do a great job on the other side of the equation. So I think originally when they started, they were giving white-colored socks out at homeless shelters, and they started getting all this feedback from people that were saying, well, these are going to get too dirty, and they were turning down these socks, and through this trial and error, unfortunately, they had never endured any hardships of, going to a homeless shelter and being out on the streets, but they learned when they started talking to that side of the market, that side of their business, about what they wanted out of those features. So they really went out of their way to create a really great product, both on the consumer side, but also make sure that they weren't just putting out this marketing message of buy one sock, we give a sock to those in need, but actually they were distributing a quality product. And from there, it just speaks bounds about their brand and their story, and it's really a company that I can feel proud about sharing with you because I know that they legitimately care about what they're doing. The last is more of a tech-focused company. It's called Student Loan Genius. They are an Austin-based company that has started to get some unbelievable traction and recognition. And it's important, as we think about passion and how we infuse that, to recognize that there's always got to be a market for the product to exist. In the same way that Bombas recognized that there was this problem, and this was the #1 most requested item in homeless shelters, and they were able to create a great product for the consumer, but also have a fit kind of on the demand side of what the social mission was supporting. Student Loan Genius went out, and I have a little graph here that I think is interesting. They recognized how big of a problem the student loan debt is in this country, and certainly where it's headed. And I think even more so, I've had some opportunities to meet some of the co-founders of the company. They all struggled with this personally. It was something that really resonated with them. And I think that if you're going to build a business and seek to, instill that purpose and that mission into it, it's so important to focus on something that resonates to you, where you have that problem or that opportunity, to then go out and create something that can really make a huge difference. And what I think is pretty cool, you'll see on this next photo, got to meet the president, which was pretty cool. And by focusing on such a big problem like student loans, such a huge market, it's naturally going to attract attention. If you start to build the company and focus on a huge market, I think it's just a really cool story for Tony, for Austin, that they were able to get out and start this as initially a small business. I think they've now raised $3 or $4 million in venture funding, which is just really cool to follow. But I think there's a lot of companies that are doing things socially related in the consumer packaged goods, consumer product space. But there are a lot of tech companies that are going after solving a huge problem, in this case, Student Loan Genius, that very much so are going to have a massive impact. And they're going to do well financially for themselves, but they're also going to, at the same time, really make a difference. I think it's important that we always recognize that in business, that there is an opportunity to do well by doing good.